Big news for Tesla in China, out of China. Big news for China, with or without Tesla. Yes, we're talking China, and we've got our favorite co-conspirator in the mix. It is Herbert from Brighter. He is a lot of fun. Let's have a conversation. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. Herbert, so great to have you. As always, we got to get into this. Did you know China, Tesla has sold quite a good number, up from last month, still a little bit off their last year numbers. But if you look at, we saw a lot of doom and gloom over the first quarter saying it's over, it's over. It's always over all the time, Herbert. You have to know that. But it looks like it's rebounding, as is the market there. Have you seen this?
I've seen it. I have to be careful. I did a show very recently where I talked about how, it jumped by 14% week over week. Well, the next week it fell. They'd only jumped by like 5% or something like that. It fell sort of number. So it's like we have to be careful not to fall into the trap of following weekly or monthly changes in China. The other thing to consider is that in China, they have launched quite a number of spiffs. They also have their incredible financing deals that they've been putting into place, supercharger deals, these kinds of things to really boost up the sales. And so it's hard to know. I do still believe that there is a slowdown in China. They are going through some major economic changes. And so now you got Tesla and other car companies, because if you see, Tesla's not the only one that is struggling. There's many car companies that are just falling off the cliff because it's an economic thing that's happening. So I think that Tesla is doing a great job of got all these levers to pull, and they're doing it now. So you can see the weeks, may go up, may go down a little bit. The quarters, the month seems to be okay. Having said all this, it is curious that Elon did say at the last earnings call that he expects that Q2 is going to be better than Q1. And that he expects that by the end of this year, that we'll hit the 2 million mark, right? 2 million cars sold. And so those are like, okay, that's very bullish, despite what we're seeing in China. So hard to know, but I would be careful.
There are a lot of new cars on the market in China, and a new car is always going to get a little bit of a new car pop. It's the new hotness. Xiaomi came out of nowhere and is already moving very big units because they're built by SAIC. They've got production capacity on tap. So whatever their market can bear, they will sell. And however many losses they can afford to incur, they will sell. If you're looking at BYD, now this is a little anecdotal, but they set a new sales record in Australia by delivering 1,900 vehicles in May, topping their previous record sales month by 20%. They're selling the Atto 3, the Dolphin, and the Seal, which is very exciting. These cars are quite popular in China for sure, but apparently in Australia as well. And BYD, who had surpassed Tesla in Q4, did not pass Tesla in Q1. In my opinion, looking set to have a record quarter for pure EVs in Q2. So this is, if your objective is that of Tesla's, which is to hasten the world into a more sustainable environment, an economy that works, that doesn't kill people, this is a victory that we should all be celebrating.
Yeah, this is a big deal, right? So we're seeing 1,500, did you say? 1,600? 1,900? That's a good number for Australia, right? Because the whole argument is that the Chinese can only be successful in China, and it's a bloodbath in China, and yet BYD is doing well, and that they're low-cost cars, right? Cheap cars. But if they can sell 1,900 in 1 month in Australia, and then, obviously, it looks like that's a Seal is the one that's selling the most. That's a good sign. That's a good sign for them that they're going to get past this roadblock of people not wanting to buy their vehicles.
Absolutely.
This is a big deal. Yeah, the Chinese brand is not hindering them, and I'm just thinking to myself that 1,900 vehicles in 1 month is not terrible. That's a good number.
Australia is a much smaller market than a lot of people realize because it fills a large chunk of the map, and ignoring that the whole middle part of it is, as far as I can tell, just scorpions. I think that's all that's there. Then you've got this Chinese battery developer announces latest cell tech capable of reaching almost full charge in under 10 minutes, ready for immediate mass production. And this is not CATL. This is Gotion. So I don't know if you're familiar with Gotion, but they are not super big, but they are pretty big. They are, if you go by volume, of course, CATL is the biggest with about 242 gigawatt hours of production. And if you go down until you find Gotion, here it is, just under Samsung, but ahead of some companies I haven't heard of. I didn't realize Samsung had gotten so low on the list, but they're mostly making electronics, so those use fairly small batteries.
It's not terrible. I mean, if you look at the 17 gigawatt hours, that's only 20% of BYDs. That's good. That's significant.
That is good.
So they're out there. But yeah.
Even
go back to the
Panasonic
article.
Is at 45. Go back to the
right.
article.
So yeah, they're half of Panasonic. So they're decent size. They're out there. It's just that whenever you see articles like this, we've seen millions of these come out every single quarter, every single month. Somebody says that we've got this brand new battery technology. Number one, yes, battery tech is going to improve. That I have zero doubt about. It's going to improve exponentially. That's the whole reason why electric vehicles, it's no doubt at this point that they're going to succeed, because they're going to continue to improve that tech versus gas cars. It's already hit its limit. But then the question, right, the skeptical is that, okay, so they make these claims, but can they manufacture it? Even Elon has said, you will see all these things in a lab. We keep track of everything that improves in a lab. But the key thing, ready for that immediate mass production. If it's true, and it's true, they're certainly making it sound like it. This is true. That's amazing. This would be fantastic for Tesla, fantastic for the electric vehicle industry. This is the kind of stuff that you and I have discussed so often, is that imagine when batteries, like right now, they're decent, 300 miles, 500 miles. What happens when they're like 1,000 miles per charge? What happens when it just takes you 10 minutes to get to 80% of that, and you got like 8? It's gonna easily surpass gas cars and gas tanks, which has a limit.
There is a myth that because your phone battery dies, not a myth, I guess a misunderstanding, that because your phone battery dies, of course your car battery will die too, which ignores the fact that most phones don't really have any kind of battery protection built into the software to charge it at ways that are more reasonable. They don't have the cooling, they don't have the smart management. I've heard that on newer iPhones, it'll say, hey, based on your use pattern, I don't think you need to charge to 100. Let's keep you at 80% and prolong your battery life. I just got a new phone. When I plugged it in last night at bedtime, I plugged it in and I wanted to see, let me see how fast it's charging. And what it said is, your phone will be fully charged by the time you wake up at 8 a.m. I'm going to trickle charge it because I know what time you set your alarm for. And I was like, that's just about time. So
the number one and number two reason why people don't buy electric vehicles, right? The number one is cost, and the number two is range anxiety. So if you improve the batteries like this, and battery technology like this happens, it will address number one, the cost will go down, and number two, range anxiety. And if you hit these things, even slight improvements, it's already over, right? Everybody's going to buy electric vehicles. That's a done deal, but it will truly just put the nail on the head and get it done and over with. But what you're hearing here from this, invention, this technology leap, sounds like an exponential leap, a very significant leap. So it's good news for everybody.
It's very exciting. On X, I had posted, there was a picture of the line at Costco to get gasoline. And I said, but you guys, it's 10 pennies less. 10 pennies. You did that. It's $2 a tank less.
Hey, don't make fun of me. I was there.
I'm sure we've all been there at times.
I've been there.
And what I said was, should we tell them it's half if you charge at home? And I knew those numbers vary depending where you were. I've said lower numbers in the past, and I get some angry clown saying, no, where I live, it's not that cheap. So I said half, and I let everyone else come in and say, you're still way too high, man. And I was like, that Those are the comments I'd rather hear, because where I live, I'm paying something like 3 cents a mile for
Yeah.
my juice.
Yeah.
And that's pretty magical. Even at superchargers, it is still cheaper than gas by a substantial margin. But I don't use those third-party chargers that love to charge as much as they can get away with, because they gotcha. So guys, in the comments, what did we miss? What do we misunderstand? Leave it. I got to know what you got to say. You excited about batteries in China and all that? And is BYD the true market leader? I don't know. Maybe you do. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Head on over to Brighter with Herbert. See what he's up to. He has some fun. And everybody else, stay tuned, stay juicy. And I cannot wait to hear from you, clever robots, perhaps when I'm on the road to Michigan soon.